As a reward for saving his daughter, the millionaire made the cleaner the hotel manager, but when he came back to the hotel a few weeks later, he was stunned. Amanda adjusted her cleaning cart, her hands brushing over the faded but sturdy handles as she surveyed the grand lobby of the Carter Regency Hotel in downtown Chicago. The air buzzed with energy, guests checking out luggage rolling across the polished marble floors, and the soft hum of the front desk phones blending into the background. She had been working since dawn, ensuring the opulent space looked perfect for its demanding clientele. The grandeur of the hotel was a stark contrast to Amanda's modest life. She often marveled at the shimmering chandeliers and towering floral arrangements, but reminded herself not to linger. The Carter Regency was a place of luxury, and she was part of the invisible workforce that kept it pristine. Her routine was interrupted by the squeak of her cart's wheels as she maneuvered it closer to the entrance. Amanda wiped her brow with the back of her hand, adjusting her uniform as she prepared to tackle the brass railings near the elevators. These small tasks were her responsibility, and though they were far from glamorous, she approached them with care. She often thought about her grandmother's words, "Dignity isn't in the job you do, but in how you do it." Lost in thought, Amanda nearly missed the sudden cry that shattered the usual rhythm of the lobby. The sound was high-pitched, desperate, and immediately set her on edge. Dropping her rag, she turned toward the noise. A small crowd was gathering near the elevators, and Amanda's pulse quickened. "It's my daughter," a woman's frantic voice rang out. "She's trapped." Amanda pushed through the onlookers, her heart racing. When she reached the elevator, she saw the problem. The doors were partially open, revealing an elevator stuck between floors. Inside, a little girl clung to the railing, her face streaked with tears as she screamed for her mother. For a moment, a man froze, her mind racing. She could hear the crowd murmuring, their panic mounting as they speculated on what could go wrong. But then, as if on autopilot, Amanda took charge. "Everyone, please step back," she said, her voice firm. She glanced at the woman who was sobbing uncontrollably. "Do you have the elevator manual?" The woman fumbled in her purse, pulling out a small booklet. With trembling hands, Amanda grabbed it and flipped through the pages, her eyes scanning for the emergency release instructions. The crowd around her seemed frozen, but Amanda's focus was sharp. The little girl's cries echoed in her ears, and she knew time was running out. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Amanda called out, kneeling beside the elevator doors. "Madison," the girl stammered, clutching the railing tighter. "Madison, I'm Amanda," she said, her tone calm and reassuring. "I'm going to get you out of there, but I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" Madison nodded, her sobs quieting slightly. Amanda quickly located the emergency release lever at the base of the elevator shaft. She signaled to a nearby security guard. "I need your help. We're going to pry this open slowly. Be careful." Together, Amanda and the guard worked to open the doors wider. The tension in the air was palpable, but Amanda continued to reassure Madison. "You're doing great, Madison. Just a little longer." Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the doors opened enough for Amanda to reach inside. She extended her hand toward Madison. "Take my hand. You're safe now." Madison hesitated, her tiny fingers trembling, but Amanda's steady gaze gave her courage. With a quick motion, Amanda pulled the girl to safety. Just as the crowd erupted in applause, Madison threw herself into her mother's arms, and the woman wept with relief. "Thank you," she said, her voice breaking. "You saved her life." Before Amanda could respond, a deep voice interrupted. "What's going on?" Here Amanda turned to see a tall man in an impeccably tailored suit making his way through the crowd. His sharp features were set in a mix of concern and authority. He scanned the scene, his eyes landing on Madison. "Madison, are you okay?" "Daddy," Madison cried, running to him. The man knelt, gathering her into his arms. His demeanor softened as he held her close. You scared me," he murmured, then looked up at Amanda, his piercing blue eyes locked on hers. "You're the one who saved her." Amanda nodded, suddenly feeling self-conscious. "I just did what anyone would do." "Not everyone," he replied, standing to his full height. "You acted when no one else did." He extended his hand. "James Carter." Amanda hesitated before shaking it. Amanda raised. James studied her for a moment, his gaze lingered as if committing her face to memory. "I owe you more than I can express. If there's anything I can do before Amanda could reply, the hotel manager appeared, fawning over James. "Mr. Carter, I'm so sorry for this incident. We'll ensure the elevator is thoroughly inspected." James waved him off, his attention still on Amanda. "This young woman deserves recognition. She didn't just save my daughter, she showed extraordinary courage." Amanda flushed under the praise. "Thank you, sir. I'm just Glad Madison is safe. As the crowd dispersed, Amanda returned to her cleaning cart, her hands trembling. Slightly, the adrenaline was beginning to wear off, leaving her with a strange mix of pride and disbelief that evening. As she clocked out, her supervisor stopped her. Amanda, you've been requested to meet with Mr. Carter tomorrow morning. He has something important to discuss. Amanda's heart skipped a beat as she walked home. The city lights casting long shadows on the pavement, she couldn't shake the feeling that her life was about to take an unexpected turn. Amanda arrived at the Carter Regency Hotel the next morning with a mix of nerves and curiosity swirling inside her. She had barely slept, replaying the events of the previous day over and over in her mind. Saving Madison had been instinctive, but the attention that followed was unlike anything she had experienced before. Walking into the bustling lobby, Amanda noticed her co-workers stealing glances at her. Whispers trailed her as she wheeled her cleaning cart toward the staff elevator. Great, she thought, I'm already the talk of the day. Amanda, a voice called. She turned to see her supervisor, a middle-aged man with a no-nonsense demeanor, waving her over. Leave your cart for now. Mr. Carter is waiting for you in the executive office. Her stomach flipped. Me, why? You'll find out soon enough, he replied, his tone unusually kind. Just head up there. Amanda smoothed her uniform, checked her reflection in a nearby mirror, and took the staff elevator to the top floor. Her hands were clammy as she approached the office door. She took a deep breath before knocking. Come in, said a deep voice from inside. She opened the door to find James Carter seated behind a sleek mahogany desk. He was impeccably dressed in a tailored navy suit, but his expression was warm, almost fatherly. Madison sat on a small couch by the window, drawing in a notebook. Amanda, James said, standing and gesturing for her to sit. Please have a seat. Amanda perched on the edge of the chair, feeling out of place in the opulent office. The leather upholstery, floor to ceiling windows, and tasteful artwork reminded her just how far removed her life was from this world. I wanted to personally thank you again for what you did yesterday, James began. Saving my daughter was no small feat. You showed bravery and quick thinking under pressure, qualities I deeply respect. Amanda shifted uncomfortably. I was just doing what I thought was right, sir. I'm glad Madison is okay. James leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. What's your role here at the hotel? I'm part of the cleaning staff, she replied, her voice steady. And how long have you been with us? 3 years, Amanda said, feeling a bit self-conscious. It's been a good job while I work on my degree at night. James raised an eyebrow. A degree in what field? Business administration, she said, her tone softening. I've always wanted to run something of my own someday, maybe a small cafe or a community center. James nodded thoughtfully, as if filing away the information. Amanda, your actions yesterday proved to me that you're capable of much more than cleaning. You have initiative, composure, and the ability to act decisively in difficult situations. These are rare qualities. Amanda blinked, unsure of where this was going. I've decided to promote you, he said, leaning back in his chair. Effective immediately. You're the new assistant manager of the hotel. The words hung in the air. Amanda's mind raced, trying to process what she just heard. Assistant manager, she echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. Yes, James confirmed. You'll report to the general manager, and your responsibilities will include overseeing daily operations, coordinating with department heads, and ensuring our guests read the best possible experience. Amanda stared at him, struggling to find the right words. Sir, I don't think I'm qualified for that position. I've never done anything like this before. James smiled. None of us are born qualified, Amanda. We learn as we go, and I have no doubt you'll rise to the challenge. I'll personally see to it that you get the training and support you need. She opened her mouth to protest, but hesitated. This was an opportunity she had never dreamed of, and turning it down felt like a mistake. Thank you, she finally said, her voice steady. I'll do my best. I know you will, James replied, standing and extending his hand. Amanda shook it, still feeling like she was in a dream. As she left the office, her thoughts were a whirlwind of excitement, fear, and disbelief. The elevator ride down felt endless, her reflection in the mirrored walls showing a mix of emotions she couldn't quite name. When she stepped back into the lobby, the news had already spread. Some co-workers congratulated her warmly, while others merely looked on with thinly veiled jealousy. Assistant manager, a voice sneered. Amanda turned to see Melissa, the current manager, standing with her arms crossed. Her perfectly styled blonde hair and tailored suit radiated authority and disdain. Congratulations, Melissa said, though her tone made it clear she didn't mean it. Let's hope you're ready for the responsibility. Thanks, Amanda replied, refusing to rise. To the bait, as Melissa walked away, Amanda felt a wave of doubt creep in. Could she really handle this new role, or had she just stepped into a world where she didn't belong? That evening, as Amanda walked home under the glow of the city lights, she promised herself one thing: she wouldn't let this opportunity go to waste. The next morning, Amanda stood in front of the mirror in her small one-bedroom apartment, smoothing the wrinkles out of her fresh ironed blouse. Gone was the familiar cleaning uniform. In its place was a professional outfit she had borrowed from her neighbor, Mrs. Lopez, who lived down the hall. Amanda adjusted the collar nervously, trying to suppress the gnawing feeling of imposter syndrome creeping into her thoughts. She glanced at her grandmother's picture on the wall. I hope I don't mess this up, she muttered, grabbing her bag and heading out the door. At the Carter Regency Hotel, Amanda arrived 15 minutes early, eager to make a good impression. The lobby buzzed with its usual morning activity, but today it felt different. Eyes followed her as she walked past the front desk, her new role already the topic of every whispered conversation. Amanda, the familiar voice of Brian, one of her former co-workers from the cleaning staff, called out. He jogged over, giving her an encouraging smile. Hey, congrats on the promotion, you deserve it. Thanks, Brian, Amanda said, her nerves easing slightly at his kindness. I'm still getting used to the idea. Don't let anyone get to you, he added with a wink. You've got this feeling bolstered. Amanda made her way to the manager's office, where Melissa was waiting with a clipboard in hand. Her smile was as sharp as the heels she clicked against the polished floor. Morning, Amanda, Melissa said, her tone saccharine. I thought I'd give you a quick rundown of your duties, to help you transition. Thanks, I appreciate it, Amanda replied, forcing a polite smile. Melissa walked Amanda through the daily responsibilities of an assistant manager, highlighting every detail with a tone that carried an undercurrent of condescension. Of course, if you're overwhelmed at any point, feel free to let me know. It's a big leap from cleaning floors to managing operations, Melissa said with a pointed look. Amanda bit back a sharp reply, reminding herself to stay professional. I'll let you know if I need help by the end of the morning. Amanda felt like her head was spinning, from guest satisfaction surveys to coordinating with the kitchen staff. There was more to the job than she had anticipated, but instead of feeling discouraged, Amanda felt determined. She had come this far, and she wasn't about to let Melissa or anyone else intimidate her. Her first real test came that afternoon during a meeting with the kitchen team. The hotel was preparing for a VIP dinner that evening, and tensions were high. The head chef, a fiery man named Marco, paced the room as he rattled off a list of demands. We need extra staff on the floor, and the seating arrangement has to be adjusted, Marco said, waving a printed menu in the air. And for heaven's sake, someone tell housekeeping to stop sending me cheap linens for the table settings. Amanda cleared her throat. I'll make sure the linens are replaced immediately, Chef Marco. As for the extra staff, I'll coordinate with the front desk to reassign some team members. Marco raised an eyebrow, as if sizing her up. Fine, he said after a moment, but don't screw this up. If this dinner isn't perfect, it's my head on the line. Understood, Amanda replied, keeping her voice steady. By the time the dinner began, Amanda had handled everything from last-minute seating adjustments to soothing a disgruntled guest whose reservation had been misplaced. Standing in the corner of the ballroom, she watched as the evening unfolded smoothly, a small sense of pride bubbling up within her. Not bad for your first big day, James Carter said, appearing beside her with a glass of sparkling water in hand. Amanda turned startled. Mr. Carter, I didn't see you there, James, he corrected with a smile. You're doing well, Amanda. The staff seems to respect you already. I still have a lot to learn, she admitted, glancing around the room. But thank you, that means a lot coming from you. Before James could respond, Melissa approached, her smile as polished as ever. Everything's running smoothly, isn't it? She said, her eyes flicking to Amanda. Looks like the team is doing their job. Yes, they are, James said, his tone firm. Thanks to Amanda's coordination. Melissa's smile faltered, but she quickly recovered. Of course, I'll leave you to it. As Melissa walked away, Amanda felt a pang of unease. It was clear Melissa wasn't going to make her transition easy, but Amanda resolved not to let her doubts show. The next few days followed a similar pattern. Amanda threw herself into her work, learning on the go and gradually earning the trust of the staff. While some were supportive, others, like Melissa, remained skeptical or outright dismissive. Each challenge was a reminder of how far Amanda had come and how much further she had to go late one evening. As Amanda prepared to leave for the day, she noticed a handwritten note tucked under her desk blotter. She unfolded it, her brow furrowing as she read the words, "Watch your back." Her heart pounded, but she took a deep breath, crumpling the note in her hand. She wasn't going to let fear, or whoever had written it, distract her. Amanda was determined to prove that she belonged in this role, no matter what obstacles lay ahead. Amanda arrived at the Carter Regency early, determined to face whatever challenges the day would throw her way. The cryptic note she had found the previous evening still lingered in her mind, but she refused to let it shake her resolve. Her morning started as usual, reviewing schedule, coordinating with department heads, and preparing for a high-profile event scheduled for that evening, a charity gala with some of Chicago's elite in attendance. The event was Melissa's project, but as assistant manager, Amanda had been tasked with assisting in the final preparations. The tension between them was palpable, especially when Melissa handed Amanda a clipboard loaded with tasks. "These are last-minute details," Melissa said, with a tight smile. "I trust you can handle them. Don't mess up. The Carter family will be watching tonight." Amanda took the clipboard without a word, biting her tongue. Melissa's tone was condescending, but Amanda reminded herself that actions spoke louder than words. She dove into the tasks, coordinating deliveries, double-checking seating arrangements, and addressing the smallest details to ensure the gala would be flawless. By early afternoon, the ballroom was a whirlwind of activity. Staff members rushed to and fro, setting up tables adorned with crystal glassware and elegant floral arrangements. The soft hum of a string quartet warming up added to the bustling atmosphere. Amanda supervised the preparations with a sharp eye, stepping in to resolve minor issues before they escalated. However, as the event neared, Amanda began to sense that something was off. The kitchen was unusually quiet, and when she went to check, she found the staff in a state of confusion. Chef Marco, normally in control, was pacing furiously. "What's going on?" Amanda asked, stepping into the kitchen. "We're missing key ingredients for tonight's main course," Marco said, his voice tight with frustration. "The order was supposed to arrive this morning, but it's nowhere to be found." Amanda frowned. She had personally confirmed the delivery schedule the day before. "Let me check with the supplier," she said, pulling out her phone. After several frantic calls, Amanda discovered that the order had been mysteriously canceled. Her stomach sank. It was no coincidence. Someone had tampered with the preparations, and she had a good idea of who was behind it, but there was no time to dwell on it now. "Okay," Amanda said, taking a deep breath. "We'll improvise." "Marco, what can we make with the ingredients we have?" Marco hesitated, clearly irritated. "We could do a variation of the dish, but it won't be what's on the menu." "Then let's make it work," Amanda said firmly. "I'll handle the guests if anyone complains." Marco studied her for a moment, then nodded. "Fine, but this is on you." Amanda threw herself into the chaos, organizing the kitchen staff and ensuring the improvised dish was prepared flawlessly. By the time the event began, the kitchen was back on track, and Amanda was on the ballroom floor, directing staff and greeting guests as they arrived. The gala was in full swing when Melissa approached Amanda with a glass of champagne in hand, her smile as sharp as ever. "I heard there were some hiccups in the kitchen," she said, her tone dripping with faux concern. "Everything okay?" Amanda met her gaze evenly. "Yes, everything's under control." "Good," Melissa said, clearly disappointed. She leaned in closer. "I told you this job was a lot of pressure. Be careful, Amanda. One mistake could cost you." Amanda clenched her jaw, but refused to rise to the bait. Instead, she turned her attention back to the event, ensuring the guests were enjoying themselves. As the progressed, she kept a close eye on the kitchen and the dining floor, ready to address any issues that might arise when the main course was served. Amanda held her breath. The improvised dish was a gamble, but as the plates were set before the guests, the reaction was overwhelmingly positive. Several diners even complimented the staff on the creativity of the menu. James Carter, who had been observing the event from the sidelines, approached Amanda near the end of the night. "I heard about the situation in the kitchen," he said, his tone serious. "You handled it well." "Thank you," Amanda replied, a mixture of relief and pride washing over her. "It wasn't ideal, but we managed." James nodded, his expression softening. "It's not just about managing the ideal scenarios, it's how you handle the unexpected that shows true leadership." "Keep it up," Amanda smiled, his words reinforcing her determination to succeed. As the event wound down, and guests began to leave, Amanda took a moment to breathe, surveying the room with a sense of accomplishment. The gala had been a success, despite the challenges and she had proven herself capable under pressure, but her moment of triumph was short-lived as she returned to the office to gather her things. She found another note waiting for her on her desk. This one was typed the words, "Cold and impersonal. This isn't over." Amanda stared at the note, her chest tightening. She wasn't sure who was behind the sabotage or the threats, but one thing was clear: someone was. Determined to see her fail, clutching the note in her hand, she made a silent vow to herself, "I won't let them win." Amanda woke up the next morning with a lingering sense of unease. The anonymous notes and the sabotage at the Gaia had left her more determined than ever, but also wary. She had spent years working quietly, avoiding conflict and keeping her head down. Now she found herself thrust into a position of visibility and, evidently, rivalry. The early shift at the Carter Regency was bustling as always. Amanda greeted staff with a polite nod, her focus set on the day ahead. The night's challenges were behind her, but she knew the pressure wouldn't let up. "Ms. Reyes," a cheerful voice called out. Amanda turned to see Madison James, Carter's daughter, skipping toward her in the lobby. Her blonde curls bounced with every step, and her wide smile was infectious. "Good morning, Madison," Amanda said, kneeling slightly to meet her gaze. "What are you doing here so early?" "Daddy's in a meeting, and he said I could say hi." Madison exclaimed. She held out a small drawing. "This is for you." Amanda took the paper and smiled. It was a colorful depiction of the two of them standing next to the elevator. "Is this us?" Madison nodded enthusiastically. "You're my hero." Amanda's heart melted at the child's words. "Thank you, Madison. I'll treasure this." From across the lobby, James appeared, his tall frame and commanding presence cutting through the morning chaos. He approached with a warm smile, nodding at Amanda. "Madison, why don't you go sit with Miss Veronica at the front desk while I talk to Amanda?" James said, gently guiding his daughter toward the receptionist. Once Madison was out of earshot, James turned back to Amanda. "I wanted to thank you again for your work last night. The gala was a success, and that's largely thanks to your quick thinking." "Thank you," Amanda replied, though her mind flickered back to the stress of the evening. "It wasn't easy, but I'm glad everything worked out." James studied her for a moment, his expression thoughtful. "You're doing well, Amanda, better than I think even you realize, but I want to make sure you're not feeling overwhelmed." "I won't lie," Amanda admitted. "It's been a big adjustment, and there have been challenges." James raised an eyebrow. "Challenges?" Amanda hesitated. The notes, the sabotage. She didn't want to sound like she was complaining, but she also knew she couldn't handle everything alone. "I think someone doesn't want me here," she said carefully. "There have been a few incidents, nothing I can't handle. But it's clear not everyone is happy about my promotion." James's jaw tightened. "If anyone is making your life difficult, I want to know." "This hotel thrives on teamwork and respect, and I won't tolerate anything less. I appreciate that," Amanda said, her confidence bolstered by his support. "I'll let you know if it escalates." Their conversation was interrupted by Melissa, who approached with her signature polished smile. "Good morning, Mr. Carter." "Amanda," she said, her tone saccharine. "I hope I'm not interrupting." "Not at all," James said, his demeanor cooling slightly. "We were just discussing how well the gala went last night." "Ah, yes," Melissa replied, her eyes narrowing slightly as she looked at Amanda. "Amanda handled everything admirably, though I imagine it was a bit overwhelming for her first major event." Amanda forced a neutral smile. "It was a team effort." James glanced between the two women, his sharp instincts clearly picking up on the tension. "Melissa, make sure Amanda has everything she needs for the upcoming weekend conference. I want it to run as smoothly as last night's event." "Of course," Melissa said, though her tone beaded her irritation. "I'll ensure she's fully prepared." As Melissa walked away, Amanda exhaled, feeling the weight of the subtle power struggle. Later that afternoon, Amanda found herself in the break room sipping a much-needed coffee. To her surprise, Madison appeared again, this time accompanied by Ryan Carter, James's younger brother. "Uncle Ryan wanted to meet you," Madison announced brightly. Amanda looked up, startled. Ryan was tall and charisma, with a rugged charm that contrasted with James's polished demeanor. His smile was easy and disarming as he extended a hand. "So you're the famous Amanda," Ryan said, his tone playful. "Madison hasn't stopped talking about you since the elevator incident." "Famous might be a stretch," Amanda replied, shaking his hand. Ryan laughed. "Don't be modest. Saving my niece is a big deal. I wanted to thank you personally." "Just doing what anyone would have done," Amanda said, though she appreciated his sincerity. Ryan leaned against the counter, his expression softening. "I know my brother. If he trusts you, that says a lot. You've clearly Earned your place here. Amanda was taken aback by his words. Thank you, that means a lot. As Ryan and Madison left, Amanda couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Ryan's sudden reappearance. She had heard whispers among the staff about his past, his sudden disappearance, and the rumors surrounding it, but now wasn't the time to dwell on it. For now, her focus remained on navigating her new role and the increasingly complex dynamics at the Carter Regency. The following week at the Carter Regency Hotel was as hectic as ever, with Amanda balancing her new responsibilities while navigating the undercurrents of office politics. Despite the mounting pressures, she found moments of solace in her growing connection with Madison, whose frequent visits to the hotel brightened Amanda's days. But something about Ryan Carter's sudden presence lingered in her thoughts. His easygoing charm was a stark contrast to James's measured and commanding demeanor. Though Amanda didn't pry, she noticed the way some staff members exchanged glances whenever Ryan walked by. There was clearly more to his story than he let on that Friday evening. The hotel was alive with activity as it prepared for a high-profile wedding in the grand ballroom. The bride, Melissa, had spared no expense in planning a lavish ceremony. The towering floral arrangements, crystal chandeliers, and a live orchestra set the stage for what promised to be the event of the season. Amanda, as part of her duties, was overseeing the final details of the setup. She moved through the ballroom, ensuring every element was perfectly in place. Despite Melissa's earlier assurances that everything was under control, Amanda had learned to double check. The stakes were too high to leave anything to chance. As guests began to arrive, Amanda stood discreetly near the back of the room, ready to address any last-minute issues. She watched as Melissa made her grand entrance, draped in a designer gown that sparkled under the lights. The groom, however, was nowhere to be seen.